Hey everybody, what's up and welcome back to Macabre'Gorium Labs presents a showcase of things likely forgotten. Or maybe not. Bats here, and I hope you'll join me for today's topic as we talk about none other than everyone's classic summertime favorite with the iconic Frisbee.
No, Bats, you can't say that. You have to say flying disc.
Flying disc? Screw that. This is Frisbee, an identified flying object. In our last video, we covered the iconic Wham-O slip and slide, but that got us to thinking about some of Wham-O's other products, like the iconic Frisbee. Wham-O was already pretty well known for their weird and unusual toys like the hula hoop and the one and only Frisbee. More on this soon. We have a ton of Wham-O favorites, but we figured since it's summertime, why not cover one of the most iconic toys for summer of all time with the Wham-O Frisbees. While it's true that Wham-O does own the iconic Frisbee name, the toy discs didn't actually get their start with Wham-O. In fact, we're going to have to go all the way back to the 1930s for this one. That's better. We begin in 1937, where it's Thanksgiving, and inventor Walter Morrison and his fiancée Lucille would decide to toss a popcorn lid to each other, and turns out they had a pretty good time with it. Sometime after, the couple would be seen on a beach in Los Angeles tossing a cake pan back and forth. As the couple played, they were approached by another beachgoer who wanted to buy their cake pan for 25 cents. Now, since cake pans back then cost around 5 cents, turned out this was actually quite the profit. With this simple transaction, a business would form and continue until World War II. This is when Walter would serve in the Air Force. When Walter would return from the war, he would design a more aerodynamic flying disc that was an improvement on the original cake pan. But of course it needed a name, so Walter decided on Whirly-O-Way after the famous racehorse Whirl-Away. I can't believe I nailed that. Morrison would partner with Warren Fransciani, and after a trial and error, the duo would begin producing the plastic discs in 1948. However, they would change the name to Flying Saucer following a UFO sighting in 1947. Now that they had a physical product, they needed to get it into the public eye. You know, because it's 1948 and there was no internet. For you young people that think the internet existed forever. At the time, one of the best ways to reach a lot of people at once turns out were fairs, so that's where the Morrisons went. They would do demonstrations to show how the disc worked, and people loved it, plus it was only $1. Macabre'Gorium Labs will return after this commercial break. Hey kids, you've heard of it. You want to play with it. Are you tired of pie tins that won't stay around? And turkey pans that just don't fly right? Well, we have exactly what you need. The newest craze from Wham-O, Frisbee. You toss it, you retrieve it, and you can do tricks with it. Astound your friends and family with the one and only Frisbee. Brought to you by Wham-O, the same company that brought you the Wham-O Slingshot and the Wham-O Slip and Slide. It's cheap, it's fun, and everyone can play, so get yours today. You can even use our associate link in the pinned comment and down in the description of this video. Frisbee is a timeless, fun toy made enjoyable by anybody. Get yours today, right now, and check out the many varieties available. If thrown with enough force, your Frisbee may break the sound-time barrier and end up in another dimension where some other kid, probably alien, will be able to play with it while you get to miss out. And now back to Macabre'Gorium Labs. After working with Fransciani until 1950, Morrison would go on to found his own company in 1954 called American Trends. Morrison's flying saucers would be made out of flexible polypropylene plastic from Southern California Plastics. In 1955, Morrison would come out with a new design that would be cheaper to produce and would name this one the Pluto Platter. This design would serve as the standard for all flying discs, even the ones you can find today. As he was getting older, Morrison decided to sell the rights to the flying disc to Wham-O on January 23rd of 1957. Wham-O was excited to begin producing the discs, but wanted a new name, so in June of 1957, Wham-O would rename the Pluto Platter to Frisbee, and a legend would be born. Okay, so apparently what had happened is some college students were using empty pie tins from the Frisbee Pie Company instead of the Pluto Platter. It is important to note that the Frisbee Pie Company is not actually affiliated with Frisbee at all. 1957 would turn out to be a very eventful year for the Frisbee, as there was also a rock musical called Anything and Everything by Ted Nelson. This would play for 2 nights at Swarthmore College. In the song Frisbee the Frisbee, Nelson would basically describe how to play Frisbee and would pass Frisbees around in the audience, using music as a method to describe the game. It was a genius way to reach a lot of people at once. Frisbee would get a bunch of improvements. In 1964, Wham-O hired Ed Headrick as the manager and VP of marketing, and Headrick decided to redesign the Pluto Platter by changing the mold entirely. The disc would have the planet name removed, but would get a thicker rim, and this would allow people to have more control of the disc, thereby making it easier to toss and actually reach its intended target more accurately. Wham-O would also decide to try marketing the Frisbee as a new sport, and sales went through the roof. Headrick would get a patent for his design of the first professional Frisbee. He also added raised ridges that were supposed to stabilize the Frisbee's flight path. Headrick would then go on to found the International Frisbee Association and hired Dan Roddick. This was actually quite ingenious, as Roderick was super excited about the Frisbees becoming an actual sport. He would start the North American Series, or an NAS tournament, Standards for Professional Frisbee Sports. Headrick would also help develop the sport of disc golf before he passed away. We actually played disc golf here at the labs. It's a lot of fun. Headrick was so committed to Frisbee that when he died, he was cremated and his ashes were put into several memorial discs that were given to his family and friends.
I guess that's why he's known as the father of Frisbee sports.
Frisbee was such a hit that in 1998 it was inducted into the National Toy Hall of Fame along with other iconic toys such as Barbie, Lego, Hula Hoop, the Monopoly board game, and Etch-a-Sketch. This simple toy has become popular all over the world, with professional matches being played everywhere. Now let's take a look at some of the games you can play with this thing. There are 3 main types of Frisbee discs. There are the ultimate discs that have a diameter of 10.75 inches, weigh 6.2 ounces, and are the standard for competitions. Freestyle discs that have a diameter of 10 inches and have a weight of 5.6 ounces, although there is some wiggle room depending on what the use is. And then we have disc golf discs, and these come in a wide variety. Disc golf discs actually have 3 different types called a putter, a driver, or a mid-range. These specific discs have various weights and styles and are smaller to reduce wind drag. And while they are smaller than a normal Frisbee, they have to have a minimum diameter of 8.3 inches. And any disc golf fan will tell you, depending on what style and what kind of shape you have of your disc, it'll do all kinds of interesting things while in the air. There are many types of competitions that use these types of discs, such as disc golf, freestyle competition, guts, Ken Jam, and ultimate, just to name a few. As the years pass, Frisbee continues to grow in popularity as more and more people are able to enjoy this simple pastime either for fun or on a professional level. Not only that, but there are a number of health benefits that come with it. It has been shown to help body strength, cardiovascular health, agility, balance, and even mental health. Here in 2026, there are a ton of companies selling similar flying discs. However, Wham-O has the exclusive rights to the actual Frisbee name. You can also find Frisbees and flying discs with a bunch of available features such as light-up LEDs, soft discs for kids, pocket Frisbees, super flyers, and jumbo discs, just to name a very few. So whether you play for fun or compete in tournaments, the Frisbee and flying disc provide hours of outdoor fun and promotes actual human contact. We'll leave a few of our favorites pinned in the comment section and in the description of this video. Frisbee, man, it's an iconic toy that will take anybody back. Everybody loves Frisbee. I remember as a kid, me and my uncle used to play Frisbees, but he had all these wacky, like, extreme sports Frisbees that were like rings, and some of them looked like boomerangs and stuff. They were really, really cool, and they were always that 1980s neon that we all know and love. But Frisbee will always be a ton of fun. I don't think we have an actual Frisbee here. I think I have a flying disc with a piece of pizza on it. And, what's the other one? Oh, a koosh whoosh. But anyway, now you know what I think? I've just gotta ask. Did you ever get to play with the Frisbee? If so, what's your favorite Frisbee or flying disc variation? If not, what was your favorite childhood snack, toy, show, movie, or other memory? Did we forget anything, get something wrong, or leave something out? Do you have a suggestion for a future video, or maybe just want to drop in and say what's up? Either way, feel free to head on down to the comment section, because most of the time, we look forward to hearing from you. And with that, unfortunately, we've come to the end of another Macabre'Gorium Lab showcase of things likely not forgotten. My name is Bats, and I hope you had a good time today as we took a look at another one of the most iconic toys of all time, with none other than Frisbee, an identified flying object. Be sure to check back next time, because you never know what we have in store. And as usual, think for yourselves, be excellent to each other, and keep it creepy. Yo! Throw it over here. Hey, thanks for making it to the end of the video. Check out our Patreon for some behind-the-scenes bloopers and exclusive stuff you'll only find over there. We have a lot of free stuff. Also, we recently had to become Amazon associates in order to make a few extra bucks on the side, because times are tough and we gotta do what we gotta do. And before we wrap up, a quick shout out to our patrons: Manic Goat, Corey Backus, Woodstock, Boss Mike, Viking Woman, Bill, Matt H, and Joshua R. You guys are frickin' rad. We'll see you in the next one. Keep it creepy.